G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. And guess where we are? We're in Liverpool, and Kenty, welcome.
Yes, thanks, Woz. Mate, nice to finally get here. It's been a long and laborious trip over.
You only been here for a few hours.
Only been here a few hours.
Straight into work.
Yeah, mate. Look, I'm looking forward to this. Actually, so I've had a lot of exposure to what's been happening here with the Kangaroos and how it's been received. So I'm led to believe that everybody's just fascinated with Reece Walsh and he's the talk of the town. I'm yet to witness that, but certainly I did watch the first test, and he was just something else, wasn't he?
We'll talk about that in a minute. You've had 3 weeks off since the last pod.
Yeah, so not necessarily your daily dose of rugby league, but yeah, no, it's been interesting actually. It's I've kind of missed doing the podcast, to be honest. So
thanks, mate.
Didn't say I missed you. I said I've missed doing the podcast. So
yeah, no, I had.
I think
anyway.
It's been and I've got a lot of people asking me where it is. So it's actually good to get out and do something. And
that's good.
We probably need to do a few more, to be honest.
Yeah, we've got another big show coming up with a special guest who's very well known in Liverpool, which will come out in a few days too. So that'll be interesting. And of course, on my left, the Man Mountain, Mark Spudd Carroll. Spudd, welcome.
Yeah, we've had a great time, haven't we? I've been over here for a week now. You want to see my face, don't you?
Yeah, we want to see your
beautiful face.
Feels like a year.
Mate, it's been a good talk.
What have you been doing?
We went to the first test at Wembley, which was a bit unusual. I'm used to walking out under the goalpost. They've changed the whole setup there.
You played at Wembley?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that was 1995. But we've had a touring party of 47. We then went across to Paris. We've been up and did the Western Front. Now we'll have a train, haven't we? We've been here. So we just arrived in Liverpool. I can't wait to see this stadium. But also, you talk about Reece Walsh, Kenny. To see him live, it's next level. Like he's speed through the middle. Like if I was playing the forwards, mate, I'd be dead set crap myself because he is so quick.
It's one of the things you don't really get a true appreciation of, and there's various things within the game like that. Reece Walsh's speed is that you do not get a true appreciation of how good he is, how quick he is,
explosive,
until you see him live. And I've said previously about you watch Penrith's attack. In footy, watching on TV, you don't get an appreciation of how, when Penrith went through that period of 4 straight grand finals, how good their attack was, because you would get a close-up of a play of the ball or a couple of passes.
That's right.
But they have everybody moving.
Structure.
Everybody's just moving. And if you're watching it at the ground, they just look different from every other team because everybody's moving around. They're presenting different shapes to the defence, basically, is what they're doing. So every time the defence looks up, they're moving around and they're always in position. They're getting to where they need to be. And they ask so many questions of the defence. And Reece Walsh is similar. You don't know how quick he is. I always used to say that about Harry Cool. The first time I saw Harry Cool play, he came down the left wing for Australia. I was like, mate, this guy, his speed was something else. Like it was noticeable. Like it was one of those things you just thought, wow, look how quick he is. And suddenly you realise why Harry Cool was such a sought after player for so long, because Leighton Hewitt was another one. His speed off the mark, Leighton Hewitt, I reckon he would have blitzed any NRL player. His ability, and you think tennis players, not really, but he only ever ran 10 yards at a time. But his speed off the mark was phenomenal. So seeing people live is much different. Some of them, the great ones, much different than watching them on TV.
Kenny, you mentioned Leighton Hewitt, and it's interesting because part of his game was anticipation.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at Reece Walsh on the weekend, and that ball that he batted down was all anticipation. Yeah. It was like he was reading the play before it happened, right? And only a few players have that unique ability to do that.
Well, as we said, he is unique. He'll make a mistake. He doesn't drop his head. He just goes again, makes it again, then backs up again. But as I said, the see games live, even Mark, the height he gets from kick returns and also high kicks across.
How high he gets in the air.
It's incredible. And then at OK, you don't realise how fast he is too. He's electric through the middle. And I just think, thinking back that game we were rusty. We won by plenty. Hudson,
It's a poor standard. Wasn't
bad
it?
standard. It was just, I think, referee in the middle, the goose in the middle. Hopefully we change that this week.
Play the ball was
Yeah.
unbearably
But-
slow.
I'm predicting a massive score. You got to think Harry Grant had a good game. Nathan was quiet. Munster hadn't played for a few weeks. The cobwebs are off. And I just think we're going to see a great performance.
Yeah, I said before the first test, I thought England with a 10-hour start were not a bad bet. And then I looked at the team a bit later, and Gary Schofield, who we had on prime time earlier this year, and he texted me. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "I think Australia win by 30."
Yeah,
because look, there's just totally different class of players from Australia to England, and it's interesting. Sean Wayne came out before that test, and they let him. He let them film him do a bit of a motivational speech to the England team, and everybody walked away. Well, nearly everybody walked away extremely unimpressed by it, and everyone was like, "Wow, is that it?" And he was like, "Don't worry, the players get it." It was one of those. You guys don't get it, but the players get it. You wait to see how they respond.
They didn't.
They did not respond.
No.
This is, I think England Rugby League is in serious trouble.
Yep.
They've got no threat. They've got no one that intimidates Australia.
No strike at all.
No, like they are pedestrians. They would be, that team would be flat out beating an NRL team. A top 8 NRL team would take them to the wire, if not beat them. And so he's come out, done that. Now, I watched that game, that first test. There was nobody there that worried the Australians, like in the old days where you had Sam Burgess, James Graham, you go back to Kevin Ward. When England are capable of beating Australia, they have someone there that worries the Australians.
Correct.
They have an enforcer, and they have someone there who's willing to take up the fight. And that's the thing that, for this, all the motivational speeches from Sean Wayne, England mentally were terrified of Australia. That was, I think, illustrated best with the Angus Crichton try, where Wellesby just stayed on his try line because he didn't want to go forward. The first thing you do as a fullback when there is a break made is you advance on the ball runner to cut down his thinking time, to cut down his options. First thing you do. He stayed on the try line.
Yeah.
By the time Angus Crichton, you see Angus Crichton when he came through the gap, thinking, okay, fullback, where's my support? Where's my support? I'm not going to need it.
That's right.
I'm not going to need it. All he had to do was fall over, which he basically did, scored the try because he didn't come off the try line. That wasn't, now, there's two reasons that happens. One is because he doesn't know what to do. And if he was playing under 14 somewhere, you'd say, well, mate, the kid needs to be taught. But this player, he's supposed to be an international.
Yeah.
He knew what to do. He was terrified. He didn't want to go, and he didn't want to get physical with Angus Crichton. One-on-one, he did not want to get physical with him. And that's why he's been sacked for this test coming out on midnight Australian time, 1 o'clock Australian time, right? So he's been sacked from the test. Best thing he could have done, get rid of him out of the team. But to me, that's indicative of where England are. And they are so far off the pace. The Pacific Championships are going on in Australia at the moment. As I've just got here today, but I've been watching them back home. I don't know how much of that you guys have been watching.
None.
But they've been tremendous. The games have been good. And, mate, they are getting into each other. It was a bit of a, Samoa touched up Tonga a little bit. That I don't put too much into it. It was Tonga's first game, Samoa's second game. They run under the belt. But the performance from all three teams, including New Zealand, has been first class. And
how would you compare those with what England?
All three of them would put a score on England.
Right.
Yeah.
All three of those teams would. Yeah, they would obliterate England.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. In the eras of Sam Burgess and Graham coming through, mate, they haven't got any forwards that would scare Santa the way they are at the moment.
They have not.
But for me, it started. I was watching. We say live rugby league is great to watch. Even the warm ups these days, our warm up, mate. I was seeing these guys, the Pommies, dropping balls and having a laugh. Like there was no drop balls in the Australian. You could see the intensity in their defence. Drills, and they got their pants pulled down, mate. I guarantee you, I reckon they're going to get beat by 40. If Australia score in the first 5 minutes, look out.
Well, England were lucky because I think that was only 6-0 at half time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they were lucky because the
ref
referee allowed them to lie over the ball
Well, one of the reasons I thought England at 10.5 were not a bad bet first time is because Australia traditionally have always been slow in that first test. And yes, Spudd, when you toured in 94, lost the first test. Okay, Australia in 1990, lost the first test. That's because it took them just a little bit of time, get the cobwebs out, get going. And I thought that might keep the scores close. The fact that it wasn't close, 26-6, is not a close score, but it was at half time. But Australia had figured that the cobwebs had been blown out by half time, and they went on with it in the second half. This test, coming up, the second test at Everton, I think it's potentially Australia hit 40. Australia hit 40, and I don't know. And there's John Bateman is the only bloke in the England team that would half scare the Aussies, right? But no. But I think he's not playing this next test, and he's sort of getting towards the end of his career. But John Bateman's got a bit in him, you know what I mean? He's got a little bit of mongrel in him. I don't see where there's any intimidation. Now he's made some changes. He's brought Morgan Smithies in, which I think's it's funny. They described him over here as the controversial. Like he's got a bit of a reputation over here, Morgan Smithies. Like that hasn't reached to Australia yet. No. But, and he's a bit. Looks like he's a bit. I wouldn't say he's not on the nose, but he's a bit like the. Bit of an acquired taste. That's probably the way to put that.
That's a nice little saying, isn't it? I just think why we lost the games on the 91st test, 94, mate. We got to drink too much. Like coming over, we just got absolutely hammered. Yeah. And then I remember we just rusty as, and then game 2, we ended up going okay.
Yeah. Well, game 2 you had to win.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but these guys don't drink at all. Well, barely drink at all now, the modern player.
Well, they had a bit of a go on Saturday night. But
anyway, good luck to them.
Good luck to them.
Yeah.
What about you? Coming on the way over, did you give Boonies 51
No,
again?
mate, I don't drink on planes.
Yeah, okay.
Never have a beer on a plane.
Okay.
Yeah, you're up and down the aisle all day if you do that. So, yeah.
Well, we've got a couple of interesting characters in our AST group. Looking forward to seeing Paul Kent.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
So, listen, there's a bit of news out at home that Volandis and Abdo have been over here looking to buy Super League.
Yeah, well, they've come out of there speaking about broadcast deals. I don't know where it goes. It's all very secretive. The NRL have put that out there some time back that they're looking to buy in the Super League. Why? I don't know if it's that good an investment. No. I think the last broadcast deal that England, the Super League signed was for £6 million. Now
£6 million?
Yeah, per season. It's not a lot of money, mate. It's not a lot of money.
Nothing.
And I know, look, there's some teams are looking to, sell. The owners are looking to sell. So I don't know whether they're trying to capitalise on the hope that the NRL will buy it and therefore they'll get an inflated price. And look, I don't know what's happening in these meetings. The leaks have all come out that it's all very positive, but that's what you expect them to say.
What are you buying, but?
Well, they want to buy the whole competition.
Yeah, but that's mediocre compared to what we've got.
The danger is if they buy it, it becomes basically a B-grade competition for the NRL. And look, under this current administration, the way it works is, nothing is set in concrete anymore, and traditions don't really count for much. And even I would dare say, sound sporting administration doesn't really count for some. You're
talking rules-wise, 6 again.
Well, I just think but they are so quick to just change things, and I would not be surprised if I'm just thinking ahead, right? But they buy the English Super League and they basically allow like a transfer between the competitions. So if you're halfway through the NRL season, because they now play in sync with each other, and you're halfway through the season in Sydney, you lose your fullback, and you just go, well, the NRL now allows you to go to the English Super League and grab a fullback from over there.
I'm not sure if they do that. No. That ruins the integrity of the.
What about New Wales
Cup? Oh, really?
Yeah,
New Wales Cup. Those players are waiting for the
how
opportunity.
Many others, mate? The 6 again ruins the game's integrity. There's a lot of things that right now ruin the game's integrity, but they do it because they think it makes a better TV product.
I just don't know about that.
They allowed a player to get suspended and then serve his suspension the next year so the fans would miss him in the finals. That ruins the integrity of the game.
It is.
That's complete bullshit, mate. Yeah. And they carry on with this, and that's a fear for the game. Like it's got to stand for something.
I'm talking about the integrity of the competition. If you buy a competition, you don't rip the guts out of it halfway through.
I don't. We're not going to rip the guts out of it.
Or just by allowing players to come in and out.
Yeah, but you're not going to. It's only going to be one player here or there. But
I mean, that already happens. That already happens. Players go over. And play
not as freely as it will be. But it also comes down to the English clubs at the moment have some sort of response or some say over their own future. If they're owned by the NRL, they're not going to have that say. They're going to lose all that. But Spud, that's what I think you've got to be mindful
Spud,
of.
what about the idea of expanding the international game? You know, and the fact that, you know, the criticism of the Australian Rugby League or NRL in Australia is it's really only Australia and New Zealand. Does buying Super League create that opportunity for them? Or is it bad?
I just can't see any investment in buying the Super League. We've got all these new nations now playing Samoa, Tonga,
good point.
which I think is good for our game. I think, but the thing is, the game is so long now. Like for a player, they're playing 20-odd games plus trials, and then they have all these tests. The amount of players which actually could have got selected for Australia, but didn't want to come. They made reasons why they didn't want to come. Mate, you drop everything to make the Kangaroo Tour years ago.
Oh, some blokes cancelled the Kangaroo Tour to get married, Spud.
Who got married?
Johnny Harvey got married. He didn't go to the Kangaroo Tour. Stayed home to get married.
Name another one.
I think Dave Ferner did, to be honest. There's another one.
Really? Silly.
Yeah. Well, that's
silly.
True. That's true. Particularly in Johnny Harvey's case, he's divorced now. So
shout out to Johnny Harvey. Mate, let's talk about R360 because Ryan Pappenhausen has come out this week and given a bit of an odd kind of description on wanting a break. To me, I read that into he's taking a 6-month break because he's going to start R360.
Oh, absolutely. Look, he's gone and had a meeting with Matt Tripp during the week. The Storm have agreed to release him immediately. Big story, actually, when you think about it. It's a big story. They've agreed to release him immediately. And he's put out this carefully worded statement. Basically, he just wants to explore other options out there in his life, right? Now, that's just 360. Okay, that's what that is. That's rugby 360. But it's been cleverly done because it's been handled in a way that you can go and have a look at rugby 360, consider whether it works for him. And if he didn't like it or he doesn't get the right deal or whatever, then he just says, you know what, I've had a bit of a look. I miss footy. I want to come back and play.
Sorry.
Bears are now in the market.
Very cool.
Okay, he's a free agent. The Storm have released him without condition, is my understanding.
They've got to sign 2-year contracts for R360. So
but mate, it's a joke. Look, all they're after are outside backs. There's no forwards that can go and play rugby union.
It's not a joke. It's a competition.
Yeah, but okay, how many players are we going to lose?
Yeah, very
few. Won't lose.
Yeah,
I don't think
we'll
lose
that doesn't
many.
make their competition a joke.
Yeah, but the thing is, the rules have to be changed. The game at the moment,
what it makes
rugby union is boring.
10-year ban a joke.
Yeah, so talk to me about that. Is that's a joke, right? That's come out since we've been away.
Look, I don't like it for several reasons. One, I think it makes rugby league look weak. Makes the NRL look weak. Makes them look like they're worried. They're under threat. In reality, rugby league will lose some players to R360.
Yeah, they're outside backs.
Okay, outside backs predominantly. Maybe
who back rowers?
No,
Cameron
maybe
Murray.
they won't lose Nathan Cleary, but he could transition to it, and I think be successful at it. So they could look at a couple of playmakers, whether you play a halfback at 5'8", or halfback at number 10 in rugby, or alternatively, sometimes you can get a rugby league 5'8" and play him in the centres. And you get, at one point when they were looking at Andrew Johns, they were looking at playing him in the centres.
Cameron Murray, Angus Crichton, they can all play.
I know they're all ex-rugby union players, but to go and play that game, they're going to have to change the rules. They'll really make it like live golf.
But they could lose it. But even still, it's not going to decimate the competition.
No.
Okay? So coming out and putting in that 10-year ban, it makes rugby league look weak, makes them look like they're panicked, that they're concerned about. This is a week after, mind you, Peter Vlandis called it a cornflakes competition. Right, so he's contradicted himself there is one thing too. But the other part too is 10-year bans. I don't know whether they really work, whether it's going to work. Okay, because most players anyway, I don't
Last
see
10 years.
even the players who are, for example, Pappenhausen, or you look at even say Fayalonga, who has probably got to take his place, or let's talk about Reece Walsh. Okay, what is he, 23 now, right? He would be a superstar in that.
Yeah.
But is Reece Walsh with a 10-year rugby league career still ahead of him? Is he going to go to Rugby 360 or R360? Probably not. Even though the money they would offer him, probably not, because one, there's no guarantees of long-term success for Rugby 360 or R360. So there's no, there's no risk. So there's no sort of upside there as far as a guaranteed future. I don't think he's going to go. So you're not going to lose those players. You're not going to lose young players out of the game.
No. It looked panicked from PVL. I thought it looked like somebody who just kind of maybe got a bit full of themselves,
I think he got full of himself. Look, this happens.
I like PVL, but I thought that was a mistake.
No, what I think it was, I think it showed an inexperience in the commission, in the ARL commission, in that they've not really, in fairness to them, not really been around rugby league for a great period of time. They've been around 10 years, right? Yeah. But they've never seen anything like this before. Now, you go back to the old administrators, back in the days where rugby union people would come over the league, and remember they would get life bans and all the rest of it. They still went.
Yeah.
Players, Ray Price still went. You know what I mean? There was players that still they still turned over. Yeah. So the ban didn't really stop that many players.
No.
They might have stopped one or two here or there, but I couldn't see a David Gallop, for example, bringing in this rule. I think it would have been something that, for example, would have been discussed at the commission level, and someone like Gallop with a cool head would have gone, guys, let's not do that. The threat's minimal anyway. The damage for us looking like we are panicking about it and worried about it is going to be greater than what we're actually going to lose. So let's just be cool about this, and let's just, move on.
Kenny, you know what I didn't like about it, and I'll ask Spudd this. What I didn't like about it was when PVL said, well, we've made these players, and the NRL have made these players to be the players and to be this attraction to R360. And then you look at someone like Mark Nawanga-Nitawase, right? Yep. Who's come from rugby, right? Played for the Wallabies.
Yeah.
The Wallabies made him.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use that...
him.
We've claimed. But if you're going to use that same argument that PVL uses, that argument doesn't stick. So Spudd, talk to me about, does the game make the player, or does the player make the game?
Well, you're under contract, so they all think they own you, don't they? They think they own you, but something like Marky Mark go from rugby union now to league, and he's leaving next year or something, or the year after.
One more year in league. Yep.
What about momentum? This R360, if it is happening, when does it start getting some momentum?
September happens.
September.
They're going to start. Year. They'll announce people now.
They're going to start signing players now. They want to start next year. It's going to work like the Formula One. So what it is, they're going to pick up the competition. They're going to move from city to city around the world.
Come on.
So they're not going to play. So it's not going to be one competition, teams based all around the world. They're just going to pick it up like the Formula One racing, where for that weekend, all the games will be played in Miami. Next weekend, it might be London. Next weekend, somewhere else.
We might do a podcast from Miami.
Well, I might follow them around. But the thing about
it's like live golf.
But your point about who made who, the fact is, this current ARL commission didn't make anyone.
Right.
Okay. Rugby league's been around since 1908. Okay. And the reality is, each makes the other. Okay. And it's different for everybody. In some cases, the game has made players, but we're all talking about Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh right now is making rugby league.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's the way the game. But
Reece Walsh doesn't own. He doesn't owe rugby league anything.
No, I'm not saying he does.
No. That's what I'm saying.
I know,
the PVL's alluding to that.
Yeah, that's just an argument. It's an emotional argument that
of worry.
Influences dumb people.
Fear.
Well, it influences people who don't want to sit down and think it through. Okay, and unfortunately, it's a little bit of scaremongering, and it's a way to get people's hackles up. Just say piss off, go away. We don't want you here. The fact is, mate. I just think the game could have been and should have been more professional about it.
Kenty, the other thing about Pappenhausen leaving is also Nelson's leaving. And does that open the door for Tino to be signed, do you think?
Well,
out in
look,
Melbourne?
yeah, look, okay, so it's November 1 now, and Tino is now available or able to go out and speak to clubs, okay? So Mal Meninga's already formally approached his manager and said that once November 1 comes around, he will be getting on the negotiating table, and they will begin formal negotiations. Sofa Solomona was on about 850. Pappenhausen 6 roughly. So there's say 1.4 conservatively
Saving.
that Melbourne have got now to spend.
Yeah.
Okay, that they had in but
Plus Pezzett. They lost Pezzett too.
yeah, plus Pezzett as well. So there's okay. So there's
Let's say there's 2.
so there's $2 million thereabouts. Tino's what they need to. They are probably, I think they lost the grand final because Nelson didn't play, and I can understand why he didn't play because he was just bringing too much risk to his game with all that. Okay, Tino doesn't bring that same risk, and he brings a greater threat.
Yeah,
so that puts them right in the frame, and that's where he started his career.
Yeah,
that's where the Gold Coast
very close to Bellamy.
So Tino's contract actually doesn't end until 2033 at the Titans. He signed a massive 10-year deal at the Titans, but they allowed him, and they're certainly going to rue this decision. They allowed him to put this clause in his contract that this year he is allowed to go out and basically have a look at it. And if he decides to leave after 2026, he can go and do that. So
if you're Josh Hannay, right, you're the new coach of the Gold Coast Titans, he signs for the Melbourne Storm.
He's stuck. If you're Josh Hannay, mate, he's buggered with.
Do you let him go?
Well, there's
Do you let him go straight
He
away?
doesn't have a say in it. It's not.
No. What I'm saying is, if you're coach and he signs and Tino signs for Melbourne for 27, do you say, look, you go 26? Do you go now?
Oh no, I don't think you do that. But the thing about them,
I think
the problem the Titans got, mate,
he needs to have a winning formula, doesn't he?
Problem the Titans got is he's already on 1.2. They can't really bang it up much more.
No.
Okay, they probably can a little bit. But that's already going to really, I think their salary cap's already out of shape. Okay, they've saved some money by leaving for Figo because he was on big money as well. So they've saved money there.
Yeah.
Okay, that maybe you could pitch a little bit out of that and give it to Tino to stay. But you're already paying him top dollar. Okay, and I dare say this. I think if Perth Bears, old habits. If Perth Bears sign Tino, he's got to go for about 1.5. Yeah, okay.
Well, he has to,
which is way overs. Okay, as good as he is, you could probably get away with the club captain and the fact he's got quite a few years left paying that, but that's absolute top dollar. But the other thing is, he'll go to Melbourne for less.
Yeah, if you're Tino, what is the discount to go to Melbourne and win grand finals or at least play finals?
It's about 20%.
20%.
Yeah, but mate, it's the changeover. Especially
but he turns them into a premiership threat.
Absolutely.
And that sounds silly given the fact that they've made the last 2 grand finals. But they lost the last 2 grand finals.
Up front.
And I think both grand finals, Tino didn't play in it. Nelson didn't play in either of them.
Yeah.
And he was certainly missed in both of them. Now, one is because he was suspended the first time in 2024. 2025, he didn't play because Craig Bellamy didn't want to take the risk of losing him early in the game. Okay. Now, Tino doesn't bring that risk. He gets through his games.
Well, Kenty, you always talk about the tax, right, between the top 8 and the bottom 8. You always talk about the tax and what the difference is. What is it? What is it as a professional player to go to Melbourne? What percentage are you taking? You're taking a couple of $100,000 less to go down there and win?
I take about 20% less.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to. Because as a player, you want to play in the big games every year. And look, now they got nearly got wooden
He's
spoon.
on 1.2 at Gold Coast. I think Melbourne would probably top out about 950.
Yeah.
Maybe get to Mill.
Is that enough?
Mill's probably the bottom he'd take, I reckon.
Could there be a swap with Big Nelson going to Titans?
He's been released. I think he's going to R60. If you're Perth, right, you need a player of his capacity. I can't see why they're not playing people more than 1.5. Otherwise, they're not going to get someone. Like, how are they going to get Tino there?
Because you've got a salary cap.
I get it.
But once you pay too much for one player, particularly Perth, if they're paying too much for players, and they sign their first 5 players, and they pay overs for all 5, you know what that's got to do? Think about that. They've paid too much money for the first 5 players they sign. Imagine what the last 10 they sign are going to look like.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to be at or very near bottom dollar.
Yeah.
And that is murder for an expansion club, because when injuries hit, they've got no depth.
No depth at all.
Yeah.
And they will not be able, and then if they're not losing as an expansion club in a non-rugby league city, okay, like Perth, they're not going to survive. So that they've got to be very, very clever and very, very strategic in their salary cap. And to simply go and throw money at Tino is ridiculous.
Have they nominated Kenny a team that they can use, like New South Wales Cup?
Yeah, they have.
They got their juniors, yeah.
Yeah, they're using.
They got North Sydney Bears. They've got the Bears are still playing in State Cup.
Someone was. I think North Sydney were looking at.
Melbourne used to look after.
They'll look at it.
I think they are. I think they are. Let's just a little bit. We're finishing off. Done. Just a couple of little bit more news. David Fafita for South. You like it?
I think Bennett's probably his last chance.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Bennett's the only one that can get it out of him.
Jonah Pezzett deal, 1 year at Parramatta, then go up to Brisbane.
Great deal.
You like it?
No, it's a great deal, but I can't believe it's
great deal for who?
I think it's a great deal for everyone involved. I think it's a great deal for Parramatta. I think it's a great deal for Brisbane, and I think it's a great deal for Pezzett. I think it's very clever the way they did it.
Well done by Braith. Yeah,
I think he did it. Honestly, it's the first time we've seen it happen, and when I looked at it, I thought, you know what, that's very clever.
Jai Gray re-signed with South yesterday. He was touted as an R360 player. Might be sign of things to come.
Well, hopefully.
And Hamish Stewart signed.
Maybe he's scared of the 10-year ban.
Hamish Stewart signed overnight for the Dragons. He was in Cronulla's sights because our understanding is Cameron McInnes will be the first to sign with Perth.
Ooh, there's some news for you.
There you go.
Where'd you hear that?
We got sources. We got sources. Anyway,
source.
Boys, tonight we're out in Liverpool. What are we doing?
Quite one tonight.
Please.
We've heard that before.
Spudd, what are we doing? Calvin Club?
Wherever Kenny goes, I'm going. I'm his bodyguard.
He's like the Pied Piper.
He's my bodyguard.
You might need it. You might need it tonight. Anyway, guys, thank you for Kenty Blitz on holidays or on tour. We'll punch out a few more for you over the next few weeks. See you then. Bye-bye.